Hey, come in. Plenty of seats to go around. Welcome back to Tell Me a Story, Storytime with Lack. Today, heartthrob and the guitarist from brummie band The Claws, Liam, joins me on the yellow sofa. And Liam talks about the Birmingham music scene, touring and what's that like, and gets pretty vocal about how dog eat dog the music industry can be for an upcoming band. This episode was actually filmed a few weeks before the band released their brand new song, Hate the Player, which you need to go and check out after this because it's a banger. It's a banger. And yeah, it's a really insightful episode. You're gonna love it, so let's go! Oh my god, it's Liam Deacon from The Claws. Thank you.
Hello.
Here. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. Are you?
I'm good, Liam. Thanks for joining me on the yellow sofa. How are you doing? What are you drinking? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking some like lemon tea thing with honey in.
Wow.
On a little health kick, and all, man. What about you?
I'm actually drinking green tea with honey, so you know
Yeah,
what? Definitely
sophisticated men, innit?
educated. So, Liam, I want to know. I know what you're drinking, and now I want to know, like, what story are you going to tell me? What are you going to be telling me today?
Whatever you want to know, man. Whatever you want to know.
Wow,
Uh, I
actually,
think that like we've been doing bands so long, like I don't really like. It's hard to pinpoint like one specific thing. I think it'd probably be best if like ask a question and then I might have something from that. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
that's
it's just
fair
a lot of
because
drunken memories and I don't really remember.
I've like people. There's some people that like I've given a choice of like what they can talk about on this podcast, but you like I remember asking you to talk about what it's like being in a band because obviously you're in a band called The Claws, and actually you've just recently announced like tour dates. And Liam, I feel like you're always on tour. So like my first question is like, what is being on tour like? Like, how does it feel? What's it like? Because obviously I don't know. So like,
Yeah, it's like a really like unique way of like living. It's like so like what's the word? It's like kind of just in no other like kind of job do you get that kind of like way of living. Do you know what I mean? It's quite unique to be in a band. I think it's like it's not made for like the faint-hearted, and I've had like my straps and stuff on it as well. Because it's quite mad. It's like you're away from like your family and friends and stuff
yeah,
for ages, and you're in like a new city all the time, and in a new place, and
yeah.
but yeah, it depends kind of like day to day, tour to tour. Sometimes you have really good ones and you're really enjoying it, but then other times like you are trapped in a van with like, do you know what I mean, four, five, six other blokes.
Okay,
And
so tell me about that because obviously you are away from home and like so do you get hotels or is it are you in the tour van? Like what
we've got like a splitter, so it's kind of like a minibus. You
okay.
definitely, I can't sleep in it, man. The rest of the lads can get off to bed in it, but I can't. I don't know why. I just hate it. But yeah, so no, if we can do, then we get hotels if it makes like sense. So
Yeah.
on because obviously we're in like I'm from Birmingham, so we're in the middle of everywhere. So touring's kind of easy because you can go like up, then back down, and but for example on this tour we're doing like Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds on the bounce, so it'd make more sense to just stay up in that region in hotels and stuff. And when you do that kind of thing, like you are just prone to like going out and sampling some of the culture of different cities and stuff, which ends up badly sometimes.
Okay, but like I want to like go right to the beginning and I want to know like your first memories of like wanting to be in a band and like how did that even happen? Because like obviously something happened for you to be like, I want to be in a band. So what was your world like at that time? Like,
I kind of just like fell into it. I think a bit. Like like my mum and dad and that, and nan and granddad were all like kind of brought up like with music being everywhere. It was just kind of a given that it was just everywhere. So naturally, you just kind of fall in love with it. And
hmm
then my mum used to work as like I don't know the actual title, but she basically used to deliver sandwiches to blokes. Do you know what I mean? Like construction sites and shit. She would like pull up and like, and we'd all just have like two or three CDs because that's what it was when we were
yeah,
like 4 or 5, and you just like spin them like front to back the whole way. And I remember just being like obsessed with them and kind of fascinated with like who they were on the cover, like what instruments they were holding and stuff. So
I love that.
I think that's where that initial spark come from.
Okay.
And then when I was like 7 or 8, I had a pal, and his older brother was in a band, and they weren't like really anything like big or special. But I was just like,
They weren't the claws.
"Hey,
They weren't the claws.
nah, no one's that." But now, like, I remember just being like really fascinated with like the fact he'd go off to practice and that, and he'd have these like, do you know what I mean? He was writing music and recording, even though it was like probably a bit shit. Like,
Mm,
I mean, I loved the fact that he was doing that. I thought it was really interesting, and as a result, like, he kind of gave me guitar lessons and stuff. So
wow.
yeah, I was just like picked up a guitar and he gave me an old guitar. So it's just from being fascinated with it, really. And then I joined a band with his little brother, and then we went to Boa. She's like a performing arts thing,
Yeah.
and then that's kind of when I met my band now. So and then it just kind of felt like that, really. It was just got one thing at a time, and then I suppose it just comes from loving it naturally, like kind of as bred opportunities to like carry on. I wouldn't necessarily even call myself like a musician now, to be honest. Like I'm not like by any means a good or like good in the sense of like knowledgeable musician. I just kind
Okay.
of I
I,
like the way stuff sounds, and I
I
kind
was
of
about
do it that way.
You definitely are good. I've seen the claws. I saw you in. It was my last gig before lockdown, and it was so good. Oh my god, you put on such a fantastic show. I think it was at the O2.
Yeah, the Academy too, earn it. I remember that
Yeah,
was fun there.
so good. So like, tell me about being on stage because that's something that I think I asked you like when you just come like finish that show. Like, what's it like being on stage for you? Because you haven't slept. You're in the tour bus. You haven't slept. So what
Mm.
happened for you to like get on stage and then fucking kill it? Like, how do you feel? What's that like?
To be honest, when you're up there, it's kind of like you're kind of running on something that you don't even know exists. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know because you are like so tired. I don't want to sound like I'm not whinging because it's so good, but like you are so tired and all you've ate is fucking like sausage rolls for weeks. I mean, like you're malnourished significantly, and you've drank a lot and stuff. But like when you get up there, it kind of just goes so quick. You're kind of just bouncing off each other, and like it's such like a hard industry in terms of the graft of it. Like that's just the 30 minutes you get. It's like the 30 minutes to like prove yourself to those people who are watching you.
Hmm.
And especially if they've paid to come and watch it, do you know what I mean? We want to make sure it's as good as it can be if someone's paid money, especially with like the state of like the country and that, with how hard it is money wise, and people are paying anything to come and watch us. Like we try and give them a really good show and stuff.
No, I mean, you definitely do. I can vouch. Like, if you haven't seen the claws, especially because, like, I saw you. It was like at that point, it was your biggest show in Birmingham, and it was huge. It was like the crowd was just so engaged. I only knew one song at that point, and I was like, I am definitely streaming everything. This is so good. But you did just mention the graft of like the business. Can you talk to me about that? Like, what's so I know you've been vocal on like Twitter because also about like the industry and how hard it is. I don't know. I'm not in the industry, so like, what can you share? That's something like what's been the most difficult for you? I'd say.
I think it's just kind of like the amount of times like a door's been shut in your face. It's very much like they're kind of interested or they're not, and the people, I think especially with like the way Spotify and stuff's felt, and like the playlists and that kind of thing, and radio, and especially like strapping introducing recently that idea, it's kind of like it's making it harder for you to work your way up. It's more just like people at the top are just picking. Do you know what I mean? They're picking who they want, and they're just creating the easiest path ever for them to get to the top. And it's kind of like, what are them fucking things called, man? Them summit babies, what they're called when they're all man's like fucking famous and rich and
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Nepo,
yeah, Nepo,
yeah.
yeah, that's it, bro. Yeah, that's it. So like, there's fucking shitloads of them about, and then there's other people who like they're just kind of getting picked up, just
Mhm.
randomly, like going like, yeah, you're going to be famous. I know this, you know, you've been grafting for 10 years, but you know what I mean. This fucking geezer's been grafting for 2 weeks, and we like him, so he's getting a fast track, and that kind of thing can be hard because you're kind of watching people just skyrocket past you
Yeah.
and getting opportunities that you're desperate for, because the whole thing is kind of getting opportunities to kind of advance forward, and more like the social media thing as well. Like you got to be constantly doing shit on there across so many different platforms. You know what I mean? You got to be doing something different on TikTok, and
Yeah.
we're not the kind of band to be doing fucking TikTok dances and shit. So you got to like you got to make it like unique to what how you want to market your band, and then there's the writing. So it's like having a full time job, literally, but that you're paying for. So you need a full time job to pay for the full time job.
That was another question that I was going to ask you because like we met when we were like working together, and you were in the band. You were still
Yeah,
in the um, and I remember you were kind of like funding the band, like funding to be able to like be in the band. And I was just wondering, like, what's that dynamic like, having a full time job and then having a full time job to like support that full time like to
yeah,
support
yeah.
being
It's,
a
it's it's a bit draining. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's kind of like an outlet. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting together with your mates, and you know, a lot of people like work, and then they're paid to go on holiday. But the way I see
Mhm.
it, like that's pretty much what we're doing. We're paying to go on holiday, and we are, going on tour and stuff. Is like going on a holiday. Like you're getting to see so much more than a lot of people our age and stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? Having some mad experiences, whether they're shit and demoralising or not, it's all part of the tale and stuff. So we never minded really. It's got to a point now where it's kind of balanced out and stuff. It's not so hard financially, but obviously you always want to invest in what you're doing. So we are always taking a hit there.
So how long has the clause been a thing? Like, how long?
Years, like 7 years.
7 years. Oh my god.
That's with me in the lineup. Well, it makes sense, don't it? Like when we were working together, it was 2017, so that's already 5 years ago.
What the hell?
And then,
That is
how old are you now?
I'm 28.
Yeah, yeah. So I was, yeah, yeah. So I was, oh yeah, about 2017. How old was I? Yeah, 20, 19, 20.
Wow.
Yeah,
How
yeah. So that makes sense. I mean, it's gone so quick, but yeah,
how old are you now?
24.
Oh, look at you drinking tea at 24, being nice and sophisticated.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm
So
not now.
what has been your proudest moment? Just looking at the band, your 7 year career, because that's what it is. Like your
Yeah.
7 year, what's been something that you're like, wow, we did that. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, there's been a few to be honest, but like probably like during COVID and before COVID, we kind of got signed to like a major label and stuff, and we were like played in London for like a big in the year kind of thing. It was like a showcase for like a huge promoter, and we got signed to a booking agent there. And then we went to Paris and then done two sold out shows in Glasgow and Newcastle. And I was like, yeah, this is it, man. Like, I mean, we got signed, we got an agent, like we're off to Europe. Like, do you know what I mean, fuck cost, I'm off. And then obviously, like COVID come round, and our
Oh,
our label liquidated,
oh
so
no.
we got dropped and everything. And obviously, like we couldn't gig because of COVID, so we were like, that was probably like the lowest point of all our careers. We're like, we've had our chance, and this is wiped us out. But we kind of persevered, and then right through to like December just gone, where we done Institute One, which is like to 1,500 people in our hometown. And I'd say that whole story of kind of persevering and battling through it and that really hard time and showing that we're worth it, even if the label didn't think we were, and doing that gig was like really proud moment for us. I think that we done it. It's all what we always wanted to do, and we done it.
Amazing. Like I truly love hearing that. And like you are someone that you're such a brummie, like and you
Are
don't
you
hide.
gonna need subtitles on this?
Yeah, I'm definitely read subtitles. You're such a brummie, like you're proud of it. Um, but for me, I mean, it might be different for you because obviously you're in the industry. But like, I'm when I try to think of like bands and acts from Birmingham, can't think of like that many. What has been your experience of being an upcoming band from Birmingham? Like, has it been good, or like obviously people keep on talking about London or even like more up north like Sheffield. I don't really hear Birmingham get mentioned. Is that something that like you've noticed, or is it just it is
Yeah,
what?
yeah. To be honest, Birmingham's a really shit place to break. Like, I think there's a reason why all your touring artists they always leave it out. Like even Arctic Monkeys are going to fucking Coventry. Like, do you know what I
I've
mean?
been like,
Yeah, I don't even blame them because like here, like no one kind of appreciates it. So it's like, in a way, it's been good for us because it makes us work harder, and that's why doing that Institute One gig like was meant so much because we were the first band to do it in like 7, 8 years from the city.
wow,
Whereas in Manchester, there's fucking some band doing it every odd week. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like the people here, like the industry, don't really get behind us, get behind any artists. Like they're just more asked about fucking raves and the fact that like we're on telly with Peaky Blinders and shit. It's just weird. Do you know what I mean? It is. Honestly, it's weird. Like, they're so fixated on, like, but they don't give a shit anyway. Like, there's so many, like, big artists who've come from here in their own right. Like, Black Sabbath, ELO, UB40, and, like,
Jamelia.
and what, sorry?
Jamelia.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know Jamelia. Liam.
Camellia. Let me listen. How would you spell it?
You were singing. You literally were singing it on Insta the other day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Jamelia, superstar." I don't know what it is.
Oh, is that from Birmingham?
Oh my! No, what you're talking about Birmingham? You don't even know Jamelia.
Oh, bro, I didn't even know that, That's mad.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
mad. You know what? I'm going to listen to that after. Do
There
you know
you go.
what
There
I mean?
you
Yeah, look, yeah, there's another one I didn't even know. That proves my fucking point, actually. Right.
go. Yeah.
Lady Leisha, I grew up living opposite Lady Leisha as well. That's another thing. Like, there's so many artists who've come through here. The twang piece in Manchester. If you do anything, you're getting a fucking like big statue put up in the park, and do you know what I mean? Fucking buses, you know what I mean? And everyone's just like loving it. Like there's such a, and that's why the bands from there do so well. Do you know what I mean? Fucking like Oasis. If Liam Gallagher blinks now, it's an enemy. Radio. But like here, no one gives a shit. So they just
It's,
they do well, and then they just like no one knows about it. There's no like museums or like cultural appropriation, I guess, for it at all.
so would you,
Cultural appreciation. Sorry.
yeah, would you say that that's like down to the more so the industry? Because like I said, when I went to your gig, I literally had goosebumps. I felt like I was gonna cry because it felt so like everyone there was like embracing the fact that like this was a Brummie band and like the music was good and it was fan like that's what it felt like. It felt like every like how many people were there at that gig in
Like 700, I think. I think that's the cap of
yeah,
it.
all 700 of us were just like so proud of you guys. Not even if we knew you or not. It's just because like seeing this Brummie band. So like, would you say that the people that haven't like shown an appreciation, that's like more so the industry?
Yeah, no, I think that's all it is. Like the people, like you know what I mean. The people are on the mark with it, really. Do you know what I mean? But it's the fact that there's higher powers, not like giving that influence. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I think like all these kind of people in charge should be proud of what's coming out of like, do you know what I mean? Out of the practice rooms around Birmingham because there's so many good bands like, and artists all grafting, but like in a way you can only get so far without someone else giving you a leg up, and that's what I don't understand. Like we're in a way like doing the city proud, but they're not helping us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then, but the mad thing is like, if we did break through to that next level and become like a really successful touring band, they'd be fucking honest like flying back shit, wouldn't they? They would though. They'd
So
be,
Liam,
they'd be going, "Our Brummie boys, so proud of him." Like, nah, where were you? Where were you? Do you know what I mean? When
where
we,
are you now? To
yeah.
quote close, like where are you now? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I certainly won't be fucking licking any arse if they do that and that happens. So
well, you just mentioned the next step. What is the next step? Like, where do you want? Where do you see the clothes going? What do you want for the band? Like, what's the next step?
we're all still like insanely motivated every day. I know after 8 years that sounds mad that like we still wake up with like the same hunger for it, but unless you've got that, then there's no point in you doing it. Like, do you know what I mean? You've got to kind of like live and breathe it a bit, and it's just like part of my life now. Like so much, it's almost like ingrained. Like it's not a separate thing. It's just who I am now.
I love that.
Yeah, and we love it. Like we've obviously got this tour booked up, and do you know what I mean, for as long as like tickets and stuff are flying, people are still listening on Spotify and all the rest of it. Then we'll carry on doing it and stuff, and then keep bringing out the records because we enjoy it, man. Like we're like best friends in a way. You know what I mean? Probably more than that now. Like, do you know what I mean? You're probably like more like brothers, to be honest. Like living in a van together, and we've been through
Yeah.
so much like good shit and bad shit together, and we've seen each other our fucking like worst, drunkest, happiest, like everything. So like we just enjoy it. We enjoy getting together and writing records and being in the van and shit, and just getting up some mischief and having a laugh with it. Do you know what I mean?
What?
In
What's
terms of like staple things, probably the album we want
yeah?
to bring out next year. It's all written and stuff, but as I mentioned, like, money's a tight one in this game, and yeah, it's a lot of money to record an album, and not enough money coming in at the minute. But we are trying.
So the album's done.
Yeah, it's like written. Yeah, we've got like it's more than written. Probably got the next two or three written. Like there's just so many songs and
Wow.
stuff. It's very expensive to kind of get in the studio and then. Look, obviously back in the day and stuff, if people liked you, they'd go out and buy a record and that would fund it. But now it's like, do you know what I mean? I'm going to listen to your music for absolutely fuck all, and then you're going to post on every social media every day, and then you're going to come on tour. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's very like demanding for not a lot of like
Hmm.
stuff in return, really. Like, do you know what I mean? That's not me like having a. That's just the way it's felt. Like,
No, I mean, to be
it's
honest, like
so easy to get, so it's like. Well, I do the same. I listen to some music on Spotify and stuff, but I don't know how much of a future it's got.
I mean, from this conversation, it sounds like you absolutely like enjoy the job. You enjoy like being in the band. It's just like the pressure, not even so much the pressures, but just the grafting, as you says, of the music industry. Just sounds really. I mean, it always from the little that I know, it sounds very scary. It sounds very cutthroat, and like you said, unless you absolutely like have this in your blood, like your passion, don't think it's for. I don't think it's for everyone.
Nah, definitely not. It's dog eat dog, and that's the same with a lot of stuff in the industry, isn't it? Like same with like acting jobs and shit like that. Not that I know much about that, but it's just because there's only so many artists you can put on a festival bill, and there's so many like you know only so many opportunities you can give out. So it's kind of like competing in that sense. But we kind of like tried not to like think too much about that. Just focus on our own trajectory. You know what I mean? Write the best stuff we can, part of the stuff we want, and then just doing it that way. And then if it catches on, then even better. We don't really want to have to like change what we're doing to accommodate some fucking cunt in an office. So
There we go. And why you absolutely shouldn't, and I love that. But like, I do want to mention before like we wrap this up. I want to mention your song was featured on was it The Circle
yeah, the American Circle. Yeah,
on Netflix. Liam, I didn't know. I remember watching it, and I was like, huh? I know, like, what? My friend's in that, that's my friend's band. Like, what? I'm like, I remember I tweeted it. I was like, I've just heard the clause in my element on the fucking circle. How did that,
you know what's mad as well? That's how we found out. Like we didn't know anything about it until
how does that happen though?
it's kind of like a sync thing. So you kind of like register your song, and then it's just kind of like a fucking free for all a bit. Like people could just like go, oh, that works for this, that works for that. Do you know what I mean? So and then someone who was working for the circle must have just thought, oh, that'll work for that, and then played it and stuff, and then got in contact later and stuff, and then kind of got sold to Netflix and stuff. But yeah, it was a bit mad for us when we had that because I'd never heard of this program before. Other than
I,
when you tweeted it and stuff, and then I watched it, I was like, that's a very you program.
yeah, I mean, to be honestly, I'm like, I didn't finish the episode. I was like, all right, this is actually not for me. Like, I do love a
Yeah.
reality TV moment, but like
It peaked after the song was played.
yeah, I was like, oh, they're not playing in my element anymore. Right, I'm switching off. But like, that was huge. That was absolutely huge. And like, do you get paid for that?
Yeah, you get paid for things like that. Yeah, that song in particular done really well. It ended up on like Made in Chelsea and shit. And um,
What?
yeah, my mum was watching it, man. Mum was watching it. I was like making a coffee and I could hear it. I was like, what the fuck? And then like it ended up on like sports stuff, like some American sports stuff and that. But it's always good when that happens. To be fair, 'cause it's kind of like it's a really good promo for you, isn't it? Especially with like Shazam and stuff like that these days. It's done like really, it's done wonders for us.
I love that. Is that like your like if anyone from this episode, if there's one song that like represents you as like a person, as an artist, represents the band, what song would you want people to go and stream to just get an idea of who the motherfucking claws are?
The one that is coming out on the 1st of March.
Oh,
It's your favourite one. Do you remember the disco-esque one?
oh my gosh, this was ages
Yeah,
ago.
but we've went in and redone it, and it's sick. I'll send it to you after this.
Okay, okay, so that will. I mean, by the time that this episode's out, that song should already be out. So,
Yeah,
guys,
1st of March. Yeah, so yeah, that one I think it's like how we intend to like kind of map out our next the latter part of us as like a band in terms of like, sound and image and what we kind of want to say. It's like a little fucking disco number, man. It's quite cool.
Yeah, if you know Liam, like that's definitely fucking disco vibes. It's definitely like you give disco vibes. Like that's
Yeah, mate, it's big disco vibe, man, always.
But Liam, thank you so much, Liam Deacon from the fucking Claws. Thank you so much for joining me on the yellow couch, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been
My
a blast.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.